Hey everybody, this is HD, and I'm here to bring you guys another StarCraft 2 broadcast. Hope you guys enjoy. This is going to be a special one. It will be another Heart of the Swarm custom game, and I know I did one of these a few weeks ago, and a lot of you guys probably weren't too thrilled with the fact that we didn't use all the newest units, so I do apologize for that. But this video should be a lot better because there are a lot of the cool new units being used here in this cast. And down in the bottom right-hand corner, I'm going to go ahead and introduce the players. We have the green Protoss. He is Dopa, and one of my good friends as well. So he is going to be playing Protoss. And his opponent is going to be Pain User, who is under the alias of a barcode name. Actually, a lot of pro gamers are starting to use this now. And it's a good way, I guess, to hide yourself from the community in case you ever get harassed or anything like that. But you do sometimes run into people who are using barcode just to say, I'm a pro gamer, but obviously after playing a few games with them, you can tell that they aren't. Anyways, this is going to be a Terran versus Protoss, and unlike the last HOTS video, this one should be a lot cooler because there are a bunch of the new units being used. Speaking of Heart of the Swarm, Blizzard did say that they are going to be releasing the beta very soon. In fact, in the next couple of weeks, we should expect to see Heart of the Swarm beta. And, whoa, that SCV. And, you know, like Wings of Liberty, I did a bunch of beta videos during the period when it wasn't available to public yet. I'll be doing the same thing, guys, for Heart of the Swarm. I do have a HOTS beta key, and I will also try to get a lot of beta keys just to give out to the community because I really want... I really want a lot of people out there to have, you know, Heart of the Swarm. The more people in the community who have it, I think the better. So please do stay tuned. I'll try to get some more free beta key giveaways, just like I did in Wings of Liberty, for you guys who want to try out the game and who want to get, who really want to get involved. And, you know, just stay tuned for that. But before this game really gets started, I just wanted to... Oh, that SCV! It's not going to die. Nice control by Pain User. But before this game gets started, I do want to go ahead and take a brief moment of silence for Violet. He recently passed away just yesterday, in fact, in the wee hours of the morning. I was notified, and he was battling acute leukemia for a very long time. You know, despite members in the community sending him blood, giving him, you know, prayers, hopes, thoughts, and all of that, he did unfortunately pass away. So I just want to go ahead and take a brief moment here of silence. You know, it's always very, very disheartening, you know, when somebody in the community, somebody you know, and I'm sure not all of you guys knew Violet or maybe didn't watch him, but he was a member of the community, you know, and StarCraft 2 is kind of like this surreal world. It's like gaming and real life are kind of separated, but when real life comes to meet gaming and, you know, somebody passes away, that's something that, you know, it's very sad, and hopefully we don't have any more of that. So my thoughts and prayers going out to Violet, his family, his friends, and you know, life moves on, but we'll always remember you. He was also a Protoss player, so may he be forever immortalized in ire, and you know, that's that. I hope his friends and family are going to be okay. Anyways, let's go ahead and get on with this game here. As you know, StarCraft 2 and real life, it all goes on, and we'll see what happens. Now, I just wanted to say, because this is Heart of the Swarm, this is a custom game that is available to you guys on Battle.net. You guys can actually go on Battle.net and search it. It's called the HOTS map, I think rotation or something like that, and the map changes on a daily basis. Very, very cool. All the upgrades here, all the different units are recent as of MLG, and any updates that Blizzard may have released since then. So that does mean that these things might not be completely up to date with what Blizzard is using internally, but it's the best glimpse that we really have into Heart of the Swarm. So I want to do a lot more of these videos because I think it's cool. You know, I think it's going to be a very cool way to see how the pro gamers are going to adapt when the game finally does hit our retail shelves. Now, we can already see that Dopa immediately goes into the Mothership Core. This is one of the staple things that you've just got to get as Protoss now. And, you know, originally we weren't really trying out the new units when we first started playing this custom, but now that we've had a lot more practice, it's come to our realization that this is so essential, because the Mothership Core, it gives you so many great abilities like the Defensive Purify, but it also gives you the Energize, and That means any structure with energy or any unit with energy can then become max energy. That means a Sentry can have like almost unlimited force fields. A Nexus can have unlimited chrono boost. This is so big for the early portion of the game, and it really, I think it speeds up Protoss play a little bit, which is definitely helpful. Another thing to note as well is with Heart of the Swarm, I really think that Blizzard wanted to, I think they really wanted to incorporate mech into TvP, because a lot of pro gamers tried it, but it never really worked, and the reason for that was because mech was so slow and immobile. But now we've got Widow Mines, we've got Warhounds. It can be a very effective way to play against Protoss, and this is what Pain User is going to try to do. In fact, already has a Widow Mine that was burrowed and will catch that scouting probe. Goodbye. After a 10-second timer. That's actually one thing that a lot of people in the community say should be shortened, because a lot of times once the Widow Mine latches on, that Protoss unit will already die before it can detonate. But I definitely feel like in the early game it gives you such control, because hey, scouting units moving out, Terran never really had this control before, but now they do. And if you run into a mine, well, that unit takes 200 damage, and you have to also micro your other units away unless you want to take friendly damage. So we can see right now that Pain User is working off of a reactor factory to continue this Widow Mine production, and so far it's given him great control on the map. And really, the only way to kind of stop that is you need a robotics and you need an observer out on the field. Almost kind of brings this game back into a Brood War-esque style with spider mines and observers, because of course you need observers and dragoons to take out spider mine fields. So this is very, very cool, and so far I really like a lot of the HOTS changes. That probe is going to die as well, and I think at this point Dopo was like, alright, those mines are getting quite annoying. By the way, guys, these mines take 75 minerals, 25 gas, and 1 supply, but they can be built 2 at a time from the factory. And here we go. Oh, he wasn't able to kill it in time, moving a little bit too close to the range of the mine, and now he should spread his units out. Oh! And only takes a little bit of damage on the shield of one of the closest stalkers. Now, mines still continuing to plant themselves across the map. Good map control so far from Pain User, who's added on a macro CC, and will probably look to claim the third very soon here. Double armory, 3 factories, mass producing Warhounds, in fact. And the Warhound is a very, very cool unit. Just want to take a moment to show you guys what it can do. It has a Haywire ability, which is on autocast. Basically, it gives it a 6 second, every 6 seconds it casts out a damageable ability that does 30 to mechanical units. So it's a very, very strong unit when you want to fight against mech or Protoss. So that's kind of the reason why I think Blizzard added the Warhound and added on this extra DPS ability, because it really helps steer Terran players into using a more mech-based style. So now Dopa's starting to move out across the field with his stalkers. He also has blink research, pretty quick blink here, and he may move out across the map, use this observer in fact as a blink ob spotter, and then he can actually get inside the main base and do a ton of damage. In fact, I think that's what he's going to do, still keeping the obs around the field as well to catch for any Widow Mines. And here we go. He is going to try to, I think, blink obs in. Now remember, the Mothership Core also has the recall ability. With enough energy, Dopa can bring back his stalkers if they find themselves in a nasty spot. Gonna go after the tech labs to limit Warhound production. And now Warhound's coming in. You guys can see some of the missiles coming out. That is the Haywire ability. And now Dopa getting back to the mineral fields, doing a lot of damage. In fact, one of the Widow Mines latching on, but the stalker dies. And now recalling his stalkers out. Very nice by Dopa. And a great use, really, of the early Heart of the Swarm mechanics that the Mothership Core provides. You know, if you can get in there with stalkers and then blink them out, or if you can't blink them out, if you can get them into the mineral fields and then recall them out, I mean, it's almost like damage without any tax at all on your forces. It's like tax-free damage. So anytime you can get that kind of assault in, I think that's great. And it really does help, you know, the Widow Mines and the Mothership Recall, I think, really adds a level of aggression to Heart of the Swarm that you don't really see in Wings of Liberty, so that's pretty cool. Now, Missile Turret coming up as 4 Warhounds make their way out into the middle of the field. Warhounds, by the way, have an insane amount of HP, more than a siege tank, in fact, and I guess they're driven by Dustin Browder there. At least in this version of Heart of the Swarm, they're just using the Goliath model. And, oh! Interesting. When that missile turret came up, the Widow Mine latched onto the observer. Of course, the missile turret killed it off before the mine could, but that does mean Widow Mines can hit air as well. That gives them a pretty nifty feature. You know, you'd think mines can only hit ground, but no, these can actually latch onto air units as well. All you have to do is burrow them first. And here we go, some Stalkers coming in from Dopa, using his observers wisely to pick off mines. But the 4 Warhounds on the low ground, including a couple of mines, enough of a deterrent, I guess, for Dopa not to go in there and attack. And I don't think he has enough energy on the Mothership core to really recall right now. Let's go ahead and take a look. It's actually really hard to click on this thing. There we go. 127, so it needs 150 for a recall. Dopa will go ahead and pull away for now, as he realizes that's a lot of Warhounds and a lot of mines, and just purely Stalkers, probably not going to be enough to deal with that. Oh, there goes another mine, and Dopa needs to pull that Stalker away. Almost lost the observer there if he had kept it too close, and boom, the mine explodes. And I guess with Stalkers, they're only going to take a temporary amount of damage because they do have shields, and Dopa deciding not to, I guess, waste APM, or perhaps he wasn't paying attention. Now moving over to the left-hand side of the map. So far, Protoss is leading this game at 70, a 135 supply to 126. I guess a lot of that being attributed to the Stalker aggression that Dopa was able to get into the Terran main base and was able to blink out. Really didn't lose a single Stalker at all. Pain User still relying on this mech build, but there are more Stalkers blinking in. This time Pain User has Widow Mines in his base, but Dopa pulls away the Stalkers that are latched on and takes a little bit of damage, but nothing too serious. We do have some Battle Hellions coming out as well. And Dopa just getting right up into the main base, going to do a bunch of damage to these SCVs, and he should have enough energy for a recall if things get hairy. In fact, there we go. Bringing it right out of the main, and 23 workers killed so far using that very nasty style of play. And I think Pain User are probably going to want to lay down a lot more Widow Mines here at the point where the Stalkers can blink in. And also a turret would be a good idea. It just got cancelled. A turret, of course, to keep the obs away. But so far, very good harass by Dopa. Now, I just want to go ahead and talk a little bit about the Battle Hellion. This is the new unit, I guess kind of new unit coming out for Terran and HOTS. It's basically just a Hellion, but when it comes out of the factory, it is in melee mode. And essentially, it's just a fire bat, really, that provides that firepower that the Terran mech needs to deal with charge lots. If you don't have Battle Hellions, then charge lots will just kind of wreck your metal army, because, of course, charge lots can pick up the Widow Mines, just like they did against Spider Mines, and then drag them into your army. And without fire bats, you're going to have a very, very hard time. So that's why we can see now Pain User incorporating a couple of Battle Hellions into his play. Now bringing in some mines, gonna have to burrow them down. Stalkers blinking away to get out of that situation. And it looks like Pain User is gonna make a push here with his Widow Mine Warhound army, but Dopa does have Immortals and Colossus. The mines just hitting on the charge lot's not going to be able to do anything, and now major battle going on here as Dopa engages, and Dopa should have the better concave and more units to push this Terran army back. Very nice job as the mine latches on, but it's really, you know, that overall was a good engagement by Dopa. Oh, he's going to lose 2 Stalkers. And Pain User, thankfully, because he had mines in the field, did not suffer a huge counterattack. I think that's another boost, I guess another boon you get from using the Widow Mine, because if you do overextend yourself and lose a bunch of units, at least you have some mines to fall back to, and you won't lose to a massive counterattack by Protoss, which oftentimes happens as Terran. So far so good by both players. It is a pretty close game, maybe Dopa just leading a bit. 181 supply to 148, but Pain User is not going to be denied that 4th base and will catch up in economy. Meanwhile, 2 mines going down to the bottom left. Oh, this is nasty. Nice little trick play here. And the mine slashing on the probes. Is Dopa paying attention? He is! And if he hadn't been, those probes would have actually taken out a bunch of workers next to them. But as it stands, only 3 going down, and finally Pain User getting in a little bit of economy damage of his own. And now moving out across the field with a massive Warhound Firebat army, Battle Hellions, and a bunch of Widow Mines down here as well. There's about 20 mines here, guys, and he's going to burrow all the mines, and the mines are now going to latch onto the Protoss army, but Dopa has so many Colossus here. I don't know if Pain User is going to have enough firepower, despite the mines helping out a little bit, and now Pain User will have to fall back. Yeah, that's just too much firepower for him to deal with. Those two Colossus still, and those Immortals doing so much damage to the Warhounds, and Dopa wins a major engagement in the middle of the battlefield. Oh man, this is so cool just watching these players going at it. You know, my two good friends, but they're also using so many of the new Heart of the Swarm abilities. I guess mostly Pain User is, as he's playing a completely different style than what you would normally see in Terran versus Protoss. So far, Dopa really hasn't added on much except for the Mothership core. Hasn't used the Oracle yet, but he is adding on 2 Stargates. So we may see the Oracle, or we might see the Tempest being used here, depending on which way Dopa wants to go. Or he might just be getting Void Rays, which would be kind of weird. Obviously, Warhounds don't hit air, though, so if Dopa were to get some air play out here, you know, it could do a lot of damage to the Terran army. Given that none of these units can hit air, you might think that the Warhound can, but it actually does not have an air attack. So we will see what happens, but there are DTs warping in as well from Dopa. Oh man, getting real sneaky and sly with it, and he's going to send the Dark Templar up to the top right. Now, there is no units here to deal with this, and hopefully Pain User saves enough energy for Comsats as Dopa sends in the 3 DTs. Meanwhile, on the left-hand side of the map, some Protoss units getting taken out by this massive metal army. And now Pain User sending Widow Mines to deal with the DTs, a clever solution, as the mines could just take them out one by one. But he still needs detection, and now he's sending his metal over here as well. The DTs are just going to slice away the metal units, and finally a Comsat goes down. And Pain User should actually be able to kill off those DTs. Wow, those Warhounds do so much damage. 29 damage from an auto attack? That's insane. Compounded with the Haywire ability. That is so much damage. But now Dopa is sending his Stalkers over to the top left, knowing that the Terran army's to the right and can take out that command center, and he does so quite easily, and also sending over his robotics army to the top right as well. And Pain User stretched a little bit thin here. Does he have enough forces to deal with this? It looks like just barely, as he sends his Fire Bats and Warhounds in, but now Stalkers blinking in to the main base, and Widow Mines latching on, but Dopa immediately spreading out his Stalkers, so he mitigated the damage. And now, Pain User's going to have to save his factories. He cannot let the factories go down. Pain User immediately trying to recall his metal army from the right to the main base. But can he save his factories? I don't think so. Factory number 1 is going to fall. Factory number 2 is burning and will die as well. And Dopa blinking right back into the main base. And I think he might have enough energy for another Mothership recall. And there it goes. Abracadabra, it is gone. And Pain User has been taking significant damage. Also, the robotics army going to the top right, and Pain User once again stretched too thin. I guess going into that situation where metal is a little bit immobile, despite the changes in Heart of the Swarm. One of the things that actually Pain User, I guess, could have done was transformed his Battle Hellions into normal Hellions to speed them up. But really, that's the only way he could have mobilized his army, and Hellions by themselves still not that good against like Immortals and Colossus and Stalkers. So far, Dopa has been doing a great job of just stretching the Terran player thin by attacking from multiple angles and, you know, punishing the lack of mobility. Now, we do have some Widow Mines underneath the brush, and Dopa now bringing the Observer wisely, but it looks like some of the mines are going to latch on, and 4 Stalkers will go down. So, Pain User still fighting to stay in this game. It is 200 supply to 154. Pain User is by no means out of it, but he loses another command center. They can't afford to lose these CCs, man. One over here to the right was brought back, but it is very close to dying. Luckily, he is using mules to repair, which, by the way, repair 2 times faster. I don't know if you guys ever knew that. So he is using those mules right now to bring that orbital command back up, but it looks like Dopa is coming in with the army once again, and he will take out that orbital so quickly. Nothing Pain User could have done, and now SCV is going to fall as well. The worker count, 71 SCVs have gone down this game, and only 37 to 74. Pain User needs to get his Hellions and his tanks in position here. Does he have enough to take out the robotics army? That's a lot of Warhounds. I think he's going to be able to take out this army. The Haywire's going off, but Blinkstalker's coming in as well. And this is such a crazy battle. I think Pain User is going to be able to take down the Colossus and the Stalker, so those Warhounds are so strong, and the entire robotics army falls. Dopa loses his entire Protoss army, and now he's bringing in the Tempest, realizing, okay, well, you don't have any way to hit my to hit back against air, so I'm just going to bring in some Tempest now. And does he have the range upgrade from the robotics bay, I believe, or the fleet beacon? He does. He does. Okay, so the Tempests need an upgrade to get their max range of 22, and the Tempests do have that upgrade, and they are so long range, and Pain User doesn't have any way to hit air, so he's going to have to fall back despite a good idea to counterattack after crushing the Protoss army. You know, he needs to make Vikings out, or he needs to get Marines or something to combat the Tempests. And they do so much damage as well. Look at this, 49 damage versus normal units, and 66 versus massive. So Thor is definitely not going to be the answer to that. But Pain User has to fall back now as Dopa moves to the top right, gets struck once again by Widow Mines. And those 4 Stalkers spreading out wisely. And Dopa just checking to see, is the command center back there? Because he knows right now that Pain User is only on 3 bases and he is on 4. The longer he can keep the Terran on 3 bases, the further of an advantage that he will get. Pain User now dropping down some meals on the ground so he can help repair the Terran metal army. I guess that's another advantage of playing mass metal, is you can repair your army back up to full, and you don't need to build medevacs either, unless you want to mobilize. There are a couple of Warhounds and a Widow Mine holding down and locking the 5th expansion for Protoss, and Dopa will have to clean that out if he wants to take care of that. He has got 5 Tempests now. That's actually a bunch of Tempests, and Pain User opting to go for Viking production to deal with the Tempests. As the Tempests making their way across the field, Widow Mine latches on a Tempest though, and there we can see then 200 damage. That's a serious amount, and Dopa spreading it out. It won't kill it, but it will do enough to the point where it suffers severe damage and permanent hull loss as well. Dopa will have to be very careful about those Widow Mines. It would be a good idea to bring an Observer with this army as well. Widow Mines starting to take down Widow Mines from the long range that they have. They have a very long attack cooldown, but it doesn't matter when they do so much DPS. And back at home, Dopa's still constructing those Tempests to augment his Protoss army. Also looking to clean up the 5th, and easily does so against weakened Warhounds and the Widow Mine. Oh! It looks like the mine doesn't hit air if it's latched onto a ground unit. And the Observer will live. And now Dopa can go ahead and secure the 5th Nexus. So Pain User, still at a loss in this game, needs to figure out how he's going to deal with this army. I think Widow Mine production still should be one of his key points here because he can hit the Tempest. But he lost a lot of his factories earlier on to that Stalker play. Luckily, he's rebuilding the factories now. But does he have enough to hold off against Dopa, who is starting this engagement with a couple of Tempest shots? Goes in. There's so many tanks here, though. This is so risky. And all the robotics units are going to go down. Wow, those Immortals drop so fast. And now it's just Tempest against tanks and Vikings. I actually think these Tempests will be able to win. There's not enough anti-air here, and the missile turrets don't have any hope of hitting the Tempests, not with the extended range. And Pain User is going to have to fall back, but he's bringing in Widow Mines right now. Can he burrow the Widow Mines in time? Due to the Tempest having such a long attack cooldown, it looks like he will, and he latches onto 2 Tempests. He needs to spread them out right now, Dopa. Oh! And still has his Tempest alive, but that one will die as it ran over another minefield. And goodbye, Tempest number 1. But there are still 6 more on the field. Pain User now realizing, okay, well, I can't attack that army, and I'm just going to keep repairing this planetary for as long as I can. Meanwhile, if your Tempests are over there, I will attack over to the left-hand side. And what a smart decision by him indeed. The Siege Tanks now setting up to take out the Photon Cannons in front. That'll clear the way for the Warhounds, but the Mothership Corps is brought in. It can teleport to any Nexus, and then using the recall ability on the Tempest, so Dopa can save this Nexus. Very smart move right there by Dopa. But that does mean he cannot take out this PF because he brought the Tempest back home. And Pain User says, all right, screw that, I'm out of here. And he's going to run away, but now Charge Law Templar, a tech switch from Dopa. And it doesn't look like Pain User has any Battle Hellions on the field. He's getting his army stormed to death, trying to get out of the way of the storms. And finally, all the Charge Laws going down. Now the Archons morphing in. Can Pain User take out these Archons? These tanks are all going to go down despite whatever he does, so he might as well kill as many units as possible. That Archon, does drop to the last shot by the Warhound. But overall, man, I think Dopa did a very good defense there. And now if he can incorporate Charge Archon into his build, it's going to be very hard for Pain User to support battle hellion production to combat that type of unit. That's really the only unit in Terran Metal that can fight off Charge Shot Archon. And right now he needs to use his factories for Warhound and Widowmine production, so he's really stretched thin right now on the production field. Only has 5 factories now, lifting off his main orbital and gonna look to land it down over here, but there's a DT waiting, and now Dopa going to the top right with a bunch of forces. All these Vikings getting a little bit ahead of themselves. Oh! Those Stalkers protecting the Tempest, and now Pain User, he needs to play this right. He needs to land all those mines underneath this army, but how in the world is gonna do that? He's gonna have to take off a couple of shots first with these Vikings. The Stalkers blinking forward, the Widow Mines coming in. Will Pain User have enough? The Planetary Fortress falls, and now the Widow Mines burrowing down. But I don't know if he's got enough mines. The Stalker's blinking away, pulling the Widow Mines away from the Tempest, and let's see how many units go down here. A lot of Stalkers falling, but there are still Tempests alive. And I think overall, Dopa is going to be able to once again take a hold of this game. He already had the lead, but now he's at 125 supply to 39. And Pain User might just be stretched too thin at this point to recover. There's a GG, or should I say lack of GG, and that is game. Hope you guys enjoyed. That was a 35-minute brawl with both sides using some of the new Heart of the Storm units, especially Pain User trying to make mech work. But, you know, due to a little bit of inexperience and unfamiliarity with using some of the new units, you know, it can be forgiven that he wasn't able to take out Dopa. But overall, a very good game. I love seeing the new units. I think one of the coolest things was when Dopa brought his Mothership Core over to this Nexus and saved it by using the teleport and the recall ability. Very smart thinking, heads-up thinking right there by the Protoss. And overall, 35-minute brawl in Heart of the Swarm. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, let me know, because I want to bring more of these Heart of the Swarm custom games out to you guys before StarCraft 2's HOTS beta comes live, just to get your guys feet wet, get my feet wet in casting and watching Heart of the Swarm. So if you guys enjoyed this, let me know. I'll try to have more videos like this coming out in the near future. And that'll be it for me, guys. This is HD StarCraft, signing out.